Hi, I'm Nancy Smith Mattox on WYTV7 in Charlotte, North Carolina, broadcasting from Little Rock, Arkansas on Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. And I'm so excited. We've done the format a little differently this week. This will air on Thanksgiving night, this coming Thursday. And I'm just so excited to talk and do a little bit of something different. I'm going to speak from my heart today and from my passion and what I really feel. I just want to talk a little bit about Thanksgiving and relate to some people that I know that are so thankful for what God has done for them, myself included. I hope that everyone enjoys their Thanksgiving holiday. I hope you meet with your family, and I hope that everything just goes so well. And if you do need help with anything, please contact somebody just to talk. But I'm going to talk today a little bit about our prison publishing program, our prison publishing ministry. We've partnered up with Shine Your Light Radio Ministry has partnered up with the Divine Excellence Consulting, and we actually publish books for the incarcerated and the formerly incarcerated. We do a really good job with this. I'm going to talk a little bit about some books that we've already published and some that are in the works. I want everyone to understand that we deal with anyone that would like to write a book, but we have a special place in our heart for the incarcerated and the formerly incarcerated. We do a very good job. It's very good therapy for someone, especially if they are incarcerated, to have a purpose and have something they're working on so they can have an income stream when they get out of prison. And we've done this a lot. We're still marketing to do this. We hope that some people with some grant money will pay attention to this and watch this video somewhere in the country or in the world for Shine Your Light Radio Ministry so we can get some grants to help publish the books of the incarcerated. Mass incarceration right now is really high, and criminal justice reform is really high topic on a lot of the social media and the social realm, as well as what's happening right now with the administration. I'm just so pleased that it's really become a hot topic. Even today, we had 3 prisoners that were released after 36 years in prison because they were innocent. So all of this is really in the forefront. Criminal justice with Cup 50 and everything that's happening. I just want to be in on this so we can help the incarcerated and the formerly incarcerated get their story out and let them get a stream of income so they can so they can get on the speaking circuit and tell their story as a prevention measure for the young people that may be suffering the same thing. But we have to do something about mass incarceration. It's absolutely ridiculous. They're sending juveniles into adult prisons, at least here in Arkansas. They're sending juveniles into adult prisons with the harshest sentence you've ever heard of. And I'm going to talk a little bit about a couple of those that we're doing their books for them. When you get to tell your story, we will publish it. We'll use it as therapy while you're in prison to write. We'll teach you how to do that. We'll publish your book from start to finish. We'll market your book. And we'll even set up your business your business Facebook page for your book. So you can start getting people interested in it. It creates more book sales, creates more interest in what you're trying to talk about. And that is the whole purpose of what Shine Your Light and Divine Excellence is trying to accomplish. We're trying to get your word out, get you some therapy, get you some income coming in, as well as get you on a speaking circuit so you can tell your story as a means of prevention for the young. Our publishing program is very, very simple. We do everything from start to finish. If you give us a typed manuscript and we need it in a Word format, and we can take it from there and format it into a book. The cost of the publishing for the incarcerated or the formerly incarcerated is $300 from start to finish. And then we'll set you up a Facebook business page for your book, which you can find one right now if you go out to Now I See you can find a Facebook page that we have created, and it's $50 for us to create that web page. So for practically nothing, you can tell your story, have a book published, and get out there so you can help more people, which is what our purpose is too. Now, WYTV7 is a nonprofit also. We are blessed to be able to broadcast our Shine Your Light radio ministry on WYTV7, but we do need seed money and donations to promote these shows, and that's what we do. WYTV7 also helps with feeding the hungry. We do all kind of community efforts that we do in Charlotte, and I just hope, if anything else, you'll take a look at WYTV7.org and see some of the fantastic things we're doing, and also donate to WYTV7 so we can continue to blast these broadcasts and advertise these broadcasts to several million people. So I thank you so much for that. First of all, I want to talk about one book that we've published. I'm not going to mention the names of the authors because some are still incarcerated, and they are receiving severe punishment for writing their books, for writing their manuscripts. And when the inside finds out they are writing a book, and it doesn't necessarily have to be about the prison system. It's more or less like what's happening to them, how they've been restored in God's grace. But they sometimes are put in isolation for that. And two of our authors that we're working with right now have been put in isolation in the prison system. So on top of the harsh sentences that they receive and the numbers of years they've been in prison, now when they try to tell their story, they're being punished on the inside. So we do need to be very careful with the names of people. I'm not going to mention any names today, but I'm going to mention the books that we're working on. The first one that the first formerly incarcerated book that we issued that we published was called Now I See. It's a fantastic book. It's a true story about a person who was incarcerated for 25 years. He is out now. He's been out for 2 years, but he received a life sentence with no chance of parole. And then he made parole and he came out. His story is a true story, and it's a vivid look at the story the holds of addiction will have over you, and the victory and rising to a worthy life after you're out of prison, and even if you're still in prison and writing your book. It's a very good book. So you can look up their Facebook page by going to Now I See, or you can even Google the book on Amazon.com and find it that way. And I would really appreciate it if you would take a look at the book and leave a review for the book. We are trying to make it a bestseller, an Amazon bestseller, and it will happen within a few weeks if we do the right thing with this book. But I think you'll find the story just profound. Imagine 25 years in prison, and then you're paroled and you get out and you start a new life. 25 years of your life are gone. Well, how do you know how to cope when you get out? So that's part of what these books do. When they write their stories, it helps them to learn to cope when they get on the outside, because everything has changed and they all need mentors to help them through that. And that really is what Shine Your Light and Divine Excellence does for them. The next book I'm going to talk about is also written by a person who was formerly incarcerated. It's called we don't really have a name for his book yet, but it is a true story. He was incarcerated for 28 years and was released from prison. He received a sentence of life in prison without parole, and now he is paroled. So his story is a story of faith, resilience, and God's grace. And he is out now and making a living, after 28 years in prison, making a living by going and speaking to all of the advocacy groups of incarcerated, speaking to them, working on criminal justice reform, which I absolutely love. This book, when it's published in a few more weeks, is going to be part of his tool belt, of where he takes all of his speaking engagements that he does. The book is going to be fantastic, and since it's all a true story and what he feels and what happens to him and what happens when he gets out, it's going to be a fascinating story. You'll see a lot of marketing on this book when it does come out on Shine Your Light on Facebook, as well as Divine Excellence Consulting on Facebook and on all social media. So that's going to be one you're going to really want to watch for. Third book that we're working on, this gentleman is still incarcerated, and this is just a truly sad story. The name of the book is called Hieroglyphics: The Handwriting on the Prison Wall, and then it's got a subline of modern day enslavement. And when this book is published in a couple of more months, you're going to realize what Shine Your Light Prison Ministry and Divine Excellence Prison Ministry is all about. This is someone that's incarcerated now. His whole story is about how in one of our states they put juvenile convicted felons in with adult convicted felons in an adult prison. There are no juvenile prisons. So you can imagine what he's gone through. He's been in prison for 22 years and has 10 more years before he can be paroled, unless the criminal justice reform helps him and gets him released. There was 180 prisoners released in the state of Missouri a couple of weeks ago, that because of criminal justice reform. But this is the sad story about this one, which is going to be an excellent book. Hieroglyphics: The Handwriting on the Prison Walls. It's about modern day enslavement. And it's talking about his 22 years in prison and how he's not eligible for parole yet. But he actually was 16 when he was convicted of a crime and put in an adult prison at the age of 16. If you can imagine what that young man has been through. Now, he's a grown man now because he's been in there 22 years. But this is the kind of stories that are just gripping to you. They should want to make criminal justice happen. We need to look at mass incarceration and what's happened. There are thousands of people that are incarcerated that got harsh sentences for little to nothing that they did. That's why all this is happening now. And I'm so happy that our administration has taken note of this and working on prison reform and criminal justice reform. But this book here will be one that will really be a great book, a great encouragement book, because these juveniles that are in adult prisons, they became adults in adult prisons. If you can just imagine what would have happened, what could have happened all these years that he's been in there and grown up in prison. But anyway, he has a great heart, and he loves God. He has God's grace all over him, and his main thing is talking about modern day enslavement, which is what mass incarceration causes. Mass incarceration, and also juveniles being put in adult prisons. It's just like he says, a modern day enslavement. So it's going to be a very good book for you to take a look at. We will have plenty of advertising on this when the time comes. And again, you can check out Divine Excellence Consulting for all of the books that we've published. But I want you to pay real close attention to the ones for the formerly incarcerated, even the ones that are incarcerated now. It's such a good story, and the youth, the young people need to read these books and understand that there is life after crime. But what we're trying to do is prevent the crime from happening and prevent them from ever experiencing anything like that. Now, I want to tell you about one more that we're doing. That'll be out in a couple of months also. It's called Am I Criminally Minded? This is by a young gentleman that's incarcerated. Same thing. He went in when he was a very young age, a teenager, and had a 25-year sentence. He may never be eligible for parole. He's one of those that has a life sentence with no parole. But as the first one I told you about, now I see, he got released. And with criminal reform like it's coming along, this can happen. These people that have been incarcerated for so many years for practically nothing can be released. And it's just happening all over the country, thank God. So what his book will be about is Am I Criminally Minded? Because he's going to talk about his story of being in prison for 23 years already. Plus he's got more time to do. And this is going to be about how criminally minded people that are incarcerated, that are arrested and convicted and go into prisons, how their mindset changes because of what's happened to them. And we all need to be very thankful that God's grace does allow them to change their mind. But it's an interesting concept to say, am I criminally minded when I'm in prison for 23 years already and got more to come, and I was very young when I went into prison, to think about that. Because when you're young and you're committing the crimes, you don't really think about what the consequences are. But this is four gentlemen that have suffered the consequences of what they did when they were young, and we really want to get this story out. I'm really on my soapbox about mass incarceration and how it's affected our society. I mean, they talk about people, children being ripped from families. What about this mass incarceration where all of these mothers and fathers are convicted of felonies and go to jail, and they have their children? So we have it right here in our country. We don't have to look at other countries to find that we have children that are growing up without their mothers or without their fathers. And all it is a big, big thing that just continues to grow and grow and grow because of mass incarceration. So something had to be done. God had to do something with our country and with our thoughts on mass incarceration. So my prayer has been for quite some time and continues to be that we continue to do criminal justice reform, prison reform, and continue to release these people. No one knows what's in their heart and in their soul except for God. And people do deserve a second chance. They do deserve to be given a second chance. And if we groom them properly coming out of prison by allowing them to write their stories and tell their stories, and then they start to speak about it, just think of what can happen. The whole system could be turned around. But you have to have open minds, and you can't have macho administrators that just think that's not going to happen. It's really the old way of thinking. And like I said, no one knows what God has put on their soul and in their heart to move forward. So I'm almost finished on my soapbox. I just really wanted to talk a little bit about that. I want to be sure and let everyone know that you can contact me at WYTV7.org, or you can contact me through my Facebook account or my LinkedIn account. Shine Your Light. Shine Your Light is a radio ministry. And I'm just so excited, and I want you to take a look at Divine Excellence Consulting Facebook and take a look at the books that we've published. And please give us a line, drop us a line, give us some contact if you watch this video. We're going to put it out in a lot of the companies that handle mass incarceration and incarcerated people and formerly incarcerated people. We want you to know that we want to help you. We want to help you publish your story, publish your book, get that therapy that you need by writing your story. We'll teach you how, and we will absolutely publish your book for practically no money, because this is our ministry. This is what we want to do. This is what God's called us to do to help. And I just want to let you know that I thank you so much for joining us. And please, if you have any questions, please contact me directly, and I will take care of you. And I want to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving. We have a lot to be thankful for. We don't always know that. We don't always see that, but we do. We have a lot to be thankful for. So I thank you so much for letting me join you a little while tonight, and I hope that you glean something from this. And let's all try to work together to try to get a handle on this criminal justice reform and mass incarceration, and as one young person said, modern day enslavement. So without that, I would just like to say thank you again for joining us. Thank you for donating to WYTV7.org. We need those donations so we can continue to publish these podcasts and get it out to the world. And then I'd like to add a little thing about Shine Your Light Radio Ministry. Shine Your Light is all about people shining their light out into the world. We want people to understand that there are people and companies and causes out there that need to get their word out because they're helping people, and that's what Shine Your Light is really all about, trying to help other people get their word out into the world. And WYTV7 will have a couple of million viewers all over the world. It's a global radio station. So without further ado, I'd like to thank you so much for joining me tonight, and have a very, very happy Thanksgiving. Thank you so much. Bye-bye.
Yeah.